Imagine this, an empire crumbling to its knees, its capital city is occupied by foreign armies, and its whole future is just hanging by a thread. But right in the middle of all this chaos, one man sets out on a single journey, a voyage that won't just defy the empire, but will actually go on to build a brand new nation. All right, let's dive into one of the most pivotal moments in modern history. So let's set the scene. The date is May 15th, 1919. On this day, foreign troops are landing in the port city of Izmir, and it sends these massive shockwaves across what's left of the Ottoman Empire. And look, this isn't just some military move. It's a crystal clear signal that the empire is being carved up for the taking. The stakes, they honestly could not be higher. So while Izmir is literally in flames, the capital, Istanbul, is just this pit of tension and despair crawling with Allied soldiers. But somewhere in the shadows of this failing government, a general named Mustafa Kemal Pasha is putting the final touches on a secret plan. The contrast here is it's incredible. You've got an empire in its death throes and one man filled with this quiet, unbreakable determination. Now this is where the story gets really good, because the sheer audacity of this plan is off the charts. You see, Mustafa Kemal has this official decree, a Ferman, straight from the Sultan. His official orders? Go to the Black Sea region and shut down the Turkish resistance movements that are popping up. But his real mission, the one he's telling no one about? To do the absolute opposite, to rally those resistance groups and light the spark for a full-scale war of independence. So, let's be really clear here. This wasn't some guy making a desperate run for it from the capital. No way. This was a calculated, incredibly high-stakes gamble. It was the opening move in a massive chess match for the very soul of a nation, with the future of millions of people hanging in the balance. And before we go any further, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, share and like my videos. The information in the video is compiled from open sources. Thank you. Okay, now let's talk about the vessel that's right at the heart of this story, the Bandırma Ferry. This ship has become the stuff of legend, but, like a lot of legends, the story we always hear might not be the whole story. It's time to separate the myth from the reality. This is the image we all have in our heads, right? This old, rusty, rickety boat that's barely staying afloat, a symbol of a nation that has nothing left but pure hope. But was it really that bad? Was the ship actually unseaworthy with a busted compass, just fighting the waves against all odds? Well, let's take a look at the evidence. This slide just lays it all out perfectly. Over on the left, you've got the myth, this decrepit boat, this rust bucket that sounds like it should have sunk before it even left the dock. But then, on the right, you have what the archives actually tell us, a sturdy vessel, totally capable of handling the famously rough Black Sea, and, get this, commanded by a very experienced captain. And here are the cold, hard facts. This ship wasn't some ancient Ottoman relic. It was built in Scotland in 1878. It was a 279-ton ship designed for passengers and cargo, built to be reliable. And the captain, Ismail Haki Deruso, was a pro mariner in his mid-40s. This is not a guy who would take a death trap on the most important mission of his life. The legend makes for a great dramatic story. But the truth? It reveals a carefully planned professional operation. Okay, so with a capable ship and a solid crew, the journey begins. But this was no relaxing ferry ride. This was a strategic game of cat and mouse on the open water, a game of chess played against the most powerful navy on the planet at the time, the British Royal Navy. And the danger was there from the very beginning. I mean, they had barely left Istanbul, just off the famous Maiden's Tower, when a British patrol boat cuts them off. Officers climb aboard for a full shakedown, searching every nook and cranny for guns, ammo, anything that looked like a secret military operation. The whole mission could have been over right then and there. As the British are tearing the ship apart, Mustafa Kemal apparently turns to his comrades and says this. It's such a powerful line. The British were looking for steel, for bullets, the physical tools of a fight. But the real weapon on that ship, the most dangerous thing on board, wasn't something they could ever find. It was the absolute, unshakable belief in the minds of the people on that voyage. And check out the tactics they used, because it shows you just how dire this was. First, the order to the captain was non-negotiable. If capture was imminent, he was to run the ship aground. Just ram it into the beach so they could get to land and keep going. Second, instead of taking a direct route, they hugged the dangerous coastline, way riskier for sailing, but perfect for hiding from British patrols out in deep water. And finally, a bit of luck. A classic, vicious Black Sea storm rolls in. For most ships, it's a nightmare. For them, it was the perfect cover to slip right past the British torpedo boats. And we have to remember, this incredible risk wasn't just taken by one man. There were 71 people on that ship. You've got Mustafa Kemal's staff, the ship's crew, and a small group of soldiers. 71 people all in on this secret mission, all sharing the exact same terrifying journey. So, after 3 intense days of navigating treacherous waters and dodging enemy warships, the Bandırma finally closed in on its destination. And this arrival, well, it wasn't just the end of a trip. It was the dawn of a whole new chapter. Just think about how precise this moment is. Monday, May 19th, 1919, at 8 in the morning. The ship pulls up to the tobacco pier in the port city of Samsun. That specific date is now burned into the memory of an entire nation. It marks the moment everything changed. And that's the whole point, isn't it? The symbolism is everything. The man walking down that gangplank wasn't just some inspector general showing up for a job. No. That very first step on Anatolian soil was the physical start of the national struggle. The secret plan was now live. The war for independence had officially begun. Years later, when people would ask Mustafa Kemal Atatürk for his birthday, he would just say, May 19th, 1919. With that one simple sentence, he completely tied his own identity to the birth of the nation he was founding. It wasn't just a date on a calendar. For him, and for millions of others, it was the day that everything started over. And that's really the question we're left with, isn't it? It's something to really think about. How can one single journey, one calculated risk taken by a small group of people on a stormy sea, set off a chain reaction that completely reshapes a country and defines its identity for the next 100 years? Well, the story of the Bandırma shows us that sometimes it can.